Welcome to the ultimate soccer betting playbook. This is Just Win Footy Bets, baby, with JoeDaFan and Brad Betts Footy, live on the Believe Network.
Welcome, everyone. It is Just Win Footy Bets. Myself, JoeDaFan, here to break down 4 games for this Monday morning. Happy Monday as we continue the second match day games for teams such as the following. Argentina being one of them, taking on Austria, France, Iraq, Norway taking on Senegal, and Jordan taking Algeria. We'll talk about that in about 20 minutes. We're going to recap about yesterday's matches and, of course, our win some, lose some, where we went 3-1 on this one. And there was a concern of mine on that loss in the Belgium game taking on Iran. We will talk about that in a few minutes. Folks, again, you can see the free $20 entry, no deposit required. All you have to do is type in the user code name JWBB on Sleeper. Just download the Sleeper app on your Google Play or check out the App Store, download that, and $20 on us. Wow, what a weekend. Let's just dive right into it. We'll talk about one of our first winners here, Spain taking on Saudi Arabia, where we had Spain minus 2.5. And this was something, it ended up 4-0. But Spain, of course, answered their critics on Sunday with a commanding 4-0 victory over Saudi Arabia at Atlanta Stadium, following a frustrating scoreless opening draw against Cape Verde. La Roja, as they call it, completely dominated the Green Falcons to secure the first 3 points in Group H. So a lot of key events that took place, or key things that took place within this match timeline, is, of course, the 10th minute. Let's talk about who they should have started in the first game. I'm talking about Yamal. He marked his first ever World Cup start by tapping home a low cross at the back of the post, making him the second youngest Spaniard to score in tournament history. Very happy for the young man. I said that this guy is going to, turn heads, and he clearly has. 21st minute, Mikel turned their provider to finisher, cleaning up a rebound after Danny Elmo, shot was blocked. I'm very happy to see that the Spaniards were able to kind of get out of these critics of, hey, who are they? They're going the distance with a nobody. Well, I don't think they're a nobody, to be honest with you. We'll talk about a little bit about, I call Cabo Verde, but Cape Verde, as they took on Uruguay yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But the possession was something that was very concerning. 57% of the possession went to Spain throughout the game. 21 shots on target, where Saudi Arabia only had 34%. So that was a little bit concerning. Just even minutes later, I called a 2-0 at halftime to put a little pizza money on it. It actually went to 3-0 as we continue to review this game. 24th minute, just 3 minutes later, Mikel struck again with a composed finish to completely lightning fast break. He became only the second player in history since 1966 to contribute to 3 goals within the opening 25th minute of the World Cup. Of course, the assists that I talked about earlier with Yamal. But again, this is something that I think the Spaniards are a team to look out for. They go to break. Hopefully, Saudi Arabia makes some adjustments. They do not. 49th minute, early in the second half, Cucurella, who plays for Chelsea, took a heavy touch off the Saudi defender for an own goal, extending that Spaniard lead, or Spain's lead. España advantage to 4-0. So late game, of course, there was some little concern as Torres had an injury time strike chalked by a marginal VAR offsides review denying Spain's 5th goal. But the damage was done, and Spain now moves on to take on a team that is very in question in Uruguay. So Spain, of course, moves to the top of Group H with 4 points, extends their historic unbeaten run to 33 consecutive matches. And again, as I alluded to, they will close out their group stage matches against Uruguay this Friday. So something, again, to keep an eye on. Another match that I was shocked. I was completely shocked. This is the one that I talked about before, and I was we did not win on this particular feature. I had over 2.5 goals. Man, was I totally off on that. I'm going to grab some coffee here. Excuse me. And I couldn't believe it. I look back at my model. It still said, even with 2 goals, was going to be for Belgium. Maybe a 2-0 from Belgium. But I got to take my hat off to Iran. In this intense, dramatic, Group G encounter in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, an inspired defensive performance and a goalkeeping masterclass by both, but especially it helped Iran hold 10 men, Belgium into a scoreless draw. So despite dominating possession and putting massive pressure on the Iranian penalty box, Belgium could not find a breakthrough, remains searching for their first win of this 2026 World Cup. I thought them putting in Lukaku would be a little bit of a difference. They double teamed him pretty much throughout the whole match. So totally frustrated him. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. But early on, we saw some brilliance by the both keepers in the 10th and 14th minute. Both keepers were tested early. Iran, of course, made a critical double save to deny Belgium's open fury, while Cortelius safely handled a dangerous sweet and short effort by Iran. I just think that this game was, a lot of people say was boring, but I didn't think it was boring. I just thought that I was a little shocked. I thought Belgium was going to at least put up a goal. Again, there are a lot of concerns with Belgium, especially a team that has been considered one of the odds-on favorite to win the group. That is concerning. 25th minute, disallowed goal for Iran. Yeah, it was offsides. But this is something that I said, hey, I think the Iranians would score first, even though they didn't have that much practice, even though they didn't have, due to flight restrictions, etc. Even though they didn't have equal practice time, kind of get used to not only the environment, but the pitch, etc. So, speaking of that disallowed goal, Iran thought that they had had shocked the Red Devils when they found the net off a highly inventive disguised free kick routine engineered by them. However, celebrations were cut off shortly as a lengthy VAR review ruled them offsides. Yes and no. The way that I saw it was, I think that Iranian goal should have counted. Let me explain why. Because it looked like when the free kick taken by one of the Iranians, it hit someone. It hit the wall, or it ricocheted off the wall. So, and the guy they called offside was completely not even in the picture. I understand the rule. I get the rule. I've been covering this for a very long time. I kind of think it's a bogus rule, but it is what it is. So like I said, it is what it is. Let's talk about the 53rd minute. So it was 0-0 going into the half. 53rd minute, Belgium ramped up the pressure in the second half. Kevin De Bruyne orchestrated chaotic attacks. Saw Maxim Decipher, Kusiper, strike a point blank shot, only for Iran to pull off an incredible reflex save. 66 card for Belgium. With one of their defenders, Belgium's defender, Nathan Nagoy, miscontrolled a back pass, pressed into panic. He hauled down one of the Iranians there. The captain of Iran raced cleanly clear through on goal, prompting a straight red card from the referee. So, even being down 10 or down to 10 men for Belgium, Rudy Garcia sacrificed striker Lukaku for defensive reinforcement to secure the points, successfully seeing out the draw. If we look at the possession percentage, 68% went to Belgium, 32 went to Iran. The total shots, 22 from Belgium, only 7 from Iran, 7 on target for Belgium, with 3 that was from Iran. So interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. I would just say, in closing, I say the player of the match has to be the goalkeeper here for the Iran. He put on one of the finest defensive displays of the tournament so far, recording 7 massive saves to go, really frustrating the Belgium star-studded front line. I honestly think that taking on a team like Belgium does definitely have some question marks to be answered. But with this result, both Belgium and Iran move into the final match day in Group G with 2 points each. So Belgium will face, of course, New Zealand. We'll talk about that game a little bit later, as they took on Egypt and was another one of our winners, while Iran squares off against Egypt as both teams fight for qualification to the knockout stage. So that was, of course, we didn't win that one. That was our loser for the day. But let's go to another talk about of Cape Verde taking on Uruguay. This was something, excuse me, that was very interesting to see how they would pretty much, how would Cape Verde, are they just a once in a lifetime, type of team where, hey, were they something not to, just to kind of walk over real quick? It clearly was not the case in a 2-2 draw. I called it. I said that both teams to score. Yes, we hit on that bet. I did put some pizza money on the draw. That also hit. So, again, very happy for the Caribbean team. So they secure, of course, another stunning point out of this. You may recall in the first matchup, they had a draw. But for this one, World Cup, of course, debutant, of course, Cape Verde continues their fairy tale run in this 2026 FIFA World Cup by holding 2-time world champion Uruguay to a thrilling 2-2 draw at Miami Stadium, following a previous goalless statement against Spain. So again, taking on a team like Spain and holding them 0-0, impressive. But could they do it again? Clearly they did. Uruguay is not a team to kind of look past. I mean, Uruguay is considered one of the best, especially from representing South America. I was happy for Cape Verde. I was happy that they scored first. We'll break that down right now, but I tell you, Cape Verde's resilience leaves Group H completely open heading into the final match day. I'm looking and pulling forward. I'm pulling for Cape Verde for the final match. I hope they qualify, to be honest with you. I like to see this fairy tale continue. But let's break down, of course, the key highlights and goals of this one. 21st minute, a historic opener from Cape Verde's midfielder, Kevin Pina, broke the deadlock from a free kick more than 30 meters out, heading a thunderous strike that pierced through a Uruguay wall to record Cape Verde's first ever goal in the World Cup history. It was a stunner. I think the goalkeeper was a little, his vision was a little blocked, but still, he mistimed it. Beautiful, beautiful goal. It skipped right off halfway into probably 20 meters into from the shot taking 30 meters out, but 20 meters into it, it kind of skipped and it just kind of skidded and it ricocheted, of course, into the back of the net. The equalizer came in right before the end of the first half. Under pressure, of course, Cape Verde's defense mistakenly hit their own posts, allowing Uruguay to pounce on the loose rebound and not it home. So that ended up, of course, 1-1. But we thought it was over, but this was an extended due to the hydration break. I'll be honest with you, that kind of drives me a little nuts, having all this extra time to say, but it is what it is. Uruguay, of course, led 2-1 going into the half. Just before the break, a nice they headed, met Uruguay, of course, had a very clinical volley, completely a rapid first half turnaround for Uruguay as they led, of course, 2-1 going into the half. We go to the 61st minute in this matchup. Defensive disaster. This is something that I saw clearly, and I said, "Hey, there's no way." There was severe miscommunication by Uruguay with defender Oliveira and veteran goalkeeper. They gifted substitute Varela the ball, who rounded and definitely slotted into an empty net to level the score. This is a team not to overlook. I'm going to be surprised if this manager doesn't get some offers after this tournament. I'm very happy for this club. But let's look at the standings here with Spain, as we talked about earlier, has 1-1 drawn one. So they have, of course, 4 points. But Uruguay, Cape Verde having, of course, 2 points each. I think worst case, Cape Verde, of course, qualifies maybe into the third, or they're the third team because they pick 8 out of all these groups here. I think they're the best third place team in these groups. I love the way they play. I really do. I think the fans are passionate. But I'm very happy for them, and I was happy to see that they tied that up. So Uruguay, of course, faces a high stakes clash against Spain, the European champions, next weekend to secure their path to the knockout. Cape Verde, of course, takes on Saudi Arabia. Again, an opportunity for Cape Verde to make it with a historic last 32 spot on the line here. I think they do take care of business. So, again, very happy for them. Let's talk about the last game. And this was something, I brought up my brother a while back, and he texted me. And I said, "Hey, he asked me, what do I think about this game between New Zealand and Egypt?" He wanted New Zealand, and I guess I could see why. I mean, sure, you have of course, a lot of these great players. This, of course, took place in BC Place in Vancouver. But Egypt wins 3-1. We did do a live bet for this one. We had originally yesterday, we said that we did not want to do a bet for this one. We did do a live bet when New Zealand went up 1-0. We'll talk about that in just a second. And we won that at plus 245. So want to look at the live betting as well. But a little concern. But I figured Mo Salah and Mamouche would come back, and we did. Let's dive right into this last one before we get into our picks today. Egypt made history at the BC place in Vancouver, coming from behind to secure a 3-1 victory over New Zealand. The landmark result makes Egypt's first ever win at the FIFA World Cup, ending a 92-year wait since their debut in 1934. The All-Whites jumped out to a dominant start in the first half, taking the lead via a bullet header from defender Finn Surman. Off a corner kick in the 15th minute, New Zealand carried their 1-0 advantage into the break, making the first time Egypt had ever trailed at halftime in a World Cup match. Egypt, of course, responded. The intense pressure in the second half. We have, of course, Zico leveled the score with a header in the 58th minute. Less than 10 minutes later, Mo Salah completed the comeback by cleanly sweeping home a low finish to make it 2-1. Salah then turned provider to delivering a corner into the 85th minute that dived for, of course, to head home, sealing this historic 3-1 victory. So I'd say maybe in the 20th minute is where I put in the live bet. Maybe a little earlier than that. 2 plus 235, 245, excuse me. But this is going to be very interesting. I'm glad to see that Egypt. I called Egypt. I said Egypt. Look out for Egypt. I also said look out for Japan. We talked about that before. I'm looking forward to their next matchup as well. So these are teams who are starting to, find their groove, starting to find, get used to the pitch, get used to, the environment, etc. But we will see as we go into the round of 32 for a lot of these teams. Some has not secured everything yet thus far. I mean, obviously you have Mexico who has qualified, USA who has qualified, Argentina who has qualified, but just to name a few. But when we come back, we have a couple that could secure their spots in the round of 32. I of course am referring to France, the Argentinian game, which I already pretty much projected them to make it into the round of 32. I really do see it. You'll see what I have as my pick next here on Just Win Footy Bets. We are officially partnering with Sleeper, the ultimate best place to play fantasy sports and daily fantasy picks. And because they're teaming up with us, they're rolling out the red carpet for you guys right now. Sleeper's offering a 100% deposit match for first-time users up to $100. It's a no-brainer whether you're building your season-long fantasy powerhouse or hitting those daily player projections. Sleeper is where you need to be. Download the Sleeper app right now in the App Store or Google Play. Use our exclusive promo code JWBB when you sign up, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. Don't wait on this one. Get in on the action. Use JWBB and let's win together this week. Must be 18 years or older to play, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 21 plus in Massachusetts, Iowa, and anywhere you get Sleeper. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms of use for details. If you're someone or you know someone who has a gambling problem, help is always available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Welcome back, of course, and it is, of course, time to talk about our plays. So we went 2-1 yesterday. Again, I'm very happy about both teams to score. I talked about it in the previous segment. I'm talking about Uruguay and, of course, Cape Verde, or as they say, Cabo Verde. But yeah, no one really predicted our I guess the one that we didn't read well on was, of course, the Belgian game. I'm really shocked with that one, to be honest with you. But clearly we called the Spain game with that -2.5 right on the nose. Let's move, my friend, to, of course, the first game. I'm referring to Argentina, or Argentina, I should say, taking on Austria. This game, of course, is in Group J. It will take place at Dallas Stadium, aka Jerry World, at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Both squads entering this matchup riding high on opening day victories, making this encounter a vital battle for direct qualification into the round of 32. Again, both teams winning here, Argentina and Austria. So again, Austria taking care of Jordan, and Argentina, of course, beating Algeria. We'll talk about that game a little bit later in this segment. But of course, game two, and we start off this afternoon, this Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 12 o'clock local Central Time. And this is match day 2. You can catch any of these broadcasts on Fox or my good friend on Telemundo. And don't forget Peacock. They carry that also in Spanish as well. So Argentina, of course, the defending champions. They started their title defense looking every bit like the champions in a clinical 3-0 domination of Algeria. Lionel Messi, who, of course, obtained the hat trick, is, of course, the focal point. And in the opener, as I alluded to earlier, was he made history by appearing is not only in his 6th World Cup and netting a spectacular hat trick. So he is now tied, of course, with Miroslav Klose for the most goals in World Cup history, which is 16 goals. The tactical blueprint here for Argentina is expect, of course, this side to establish immediately control through the midfield, orchestrated, of course, like those from Ricardo de Paul. Argentina has a habit of striking early, leading at halftime in each of their last 8 matches across all competitions. And you'll look at the halftime, guys. It is at even money. I'm going to take a shot at that one. So Argentina, or Argentina, however you want to pronounce it, at, of course, leading at halftime at even money. So that's plus 100. That's going to be my lean for that one. But let's talk about Austria. They, of course, bypass a phenomenal or potentially tricky opener against Jordan with a 3-1 victory. But expect that threat, that attacking threat from Austria, to find the back of the net, while the veteran presence of Marko Antonovic stepped up late to seal those points. The game plan here, as they take on Argentina, is knowing the gulf in raw individual talent. I think they have, of course, Ragnick's side is likely to utilize a heavy, high-pressuring system to disrupt Argentina's built-up play. They represent a significant step up in physicality and defensive discipline compared to Algeria. Well, so while Austria possess, of course, the structure to test Argentina's backline more than Algeria did. The defending champions are firing on all cylinders here. Lionel Messi is in historic tournament winning form, and Argentina's midfield depth should gradually wear down Austria's pressure structure. I do see a 2-1 victory for Argentina. I do see both teams to score here, and you can see right there on the screen there, it's at minus 109. I like that play, and I'll give you my official play in just a moment. But Austria may break through for a goal given their veteran attacking experience, but Argentina's sheer offensive quality should ultimately carry them through. So going back here to what I was saying as my official play, I do like Argentina and Austria. Argentina is up probably 1-0 at halftime. So as I brought out those scores before, that was something that that statistic, that's something that I am definitely leaning toward. But I'm going to go with, as my official play here, I did say 2-1 on the exact score there. It could be 3-1, to be honest with you, and that's where I'm going to try. I'm going to go with not only Argentina to lead at halftime at even money, but I'm going to go with Argentina -1 on the agent handicap in the whole game. So even if it does end up 2-1, based on my model, that's what it's showing here. If it ends up 2-1, you get your money back. But again, if you're going to give me even money at halftime for Argentina to be up, and as I stated earlier, they, of course, have been doing very well in the last 8 matches, or I should say the last 8 matches across all competitions, I should say, and leading. There's no question about that. I'm going to take that as well. So again, halftime, even money, plus 100. So I say put well, you know what? I'm going to make that a unit. I'm going to make it a unit play. Let's make it a unit play for halftime leading Argentina at halftime at even money. 1 unit there. I'm going to go 1 unit as well as Argentina -1 on the Asian handicap. Let's take a look at our next match here. As we look at France taking on Iraq. These are big numbers. If you can see here on the screen, folks, France at -1250 to win the game. Iraq at 29-1. Halftime, or excuse me, draw, and the full game is close to 11-1. I don't see where Iraq actually wins this game. It would be a huge, huge shock if Iraq beats France. And this is going to take place in Philadelphia. And notice the time change here. We talked about the first matchup taking place at 1 o'clock. And then there's a little bit of a difference. Usually these matches just come on, hey, maybe a half an hour later. But this one starts at 5 o'clock. Very interested to see that. Also to see as well, we see the typical off the board here for the draw none bet for France. That is clearly a sign. I'm going to go with what has been pretty much paying the bills the last couple of days. We called it with Brazil giving up the -2.5. We called it with Spain -2.5 on the spread. I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to do this with France, which is one of the odds-on teams to win it all. I'm going to go France -2.5 on the Asian handicap at -125. Let me talk a little bit about this matchup, though. Again, taking place in Philadelphia, but pretty much the stage is set in the city of brotherly love as France prepares to face Iraq in a crucial Group I matchup at Philadelphia Stadium, with the tournament expanding format, putting massive weight on every group stage here. This match 42 showdown carries immense implications definitely for both sides. I like I said, with Norway winning and France, of course, winning, this is something, like I said, is where France not only took care of business against Senegal, 3-1 victory over Senegal, but meanwhile Iraq fought valiantly, but fell 4-1 to Norway. So Norway, if we ended everything now, Norway, they both have 3 points, obviously, going into this. But Norway has, of course, that 1 goal difference as they scored 4 goals to France's 3. But for France, a victory here virtually seals a spot in the round of 32. They will be looking to run up the score line to chase Norway for the top spot in the group ahead of their massive matchup 3 clash in Boston. So we still haven't seen France-Norway. I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's going to take place later in the week. But for Iraq, this is a survival match. Scoring a draw against the European giant would be a historic result. I don't see how Iraq and France would draw here. I mean, it was very interesting to see, as I talked about in the first segment, where Belgium and Iran, and I'm happy for Iran, went with that 0-0. I didn't calculate that at all. I'll be honest with you. I did not calculate that. But especially with Iran not having the opportunity to practice as much as the other clubs due to certain restrictions. But it happens. But they keep themselves alive for a potential third place qualification spot ahead of their final group match against Senegal. So keep that in mind. You know, excuse me. Um, with France, their unmatched depth and pace here, they enter the contest as the heavy favorite. Their tactical setup will likely evolve around dominating possession, using the explosive wingers to stretch Iraq's backline. Look for them for pinning Iraq deep in their own half early on to dictate the tempo with a midfield capability of cycling possession flawlessly and a lethal front line. The French strategy is straightforward: choke out Iraq's transition game and leverage their aerial and tactical, I should say, and technical superiority in the box. As for Iraq here, they're going to be doing more of a low blocking counterattack if they want to have a chance. That will be their blueprint for this match. With again, they're heavily relying on their defensive discipline, but expect a very compact low block, likely utilizing a 5-4-1 or heavily shielded 4-5-1 formation to deny France space between the lines. Against Norway, individual defensive lapses cost them dearly against an even sharper French attack. Concentration must be flawless for this 90 minutes. I think Iraq will seek to exploit the space left behind by France's attacking fullbacks, targeting long balls, transition, and set pieces opportunity. You could go for a win to nil here. I do see 3-0. I see 4-0, very similar to yesterday's game in the Spain game against Saudi Arabia. But while Iraq has the heart and the technical discipline to frustrate elite sides to stretch, the gulf in sheer depth and world-class quality is too wide to ignore. I think France's attack is whether overloading wide areas, hitting from distance, or utilizing set pieces, will eventually break down Iraq's defensive wall. So expect an early breakthrough for France, forcing Iraq to open up slightly in the second half, which will only pay into the hands of France's devastating counterattack. I think France cruises to a comfortable victory, shifting their full focus to the group finale against Norway. And that would probably be for that particular group. So meaning that if France wins, they move, of course, to 6 points. If Norway, of course, wins, they go to 6 points. But then who becomes the group winner? That's what we're going to be talking about next. As you can see here, Norway taking on Senegal, again, Group I. But this is, again, very important for both teams, for both squads. This match will take place in East Rutherford. But I think this particular group stage is heating up as Norway prepares to face Senegal in a vital Group I fixture. The stakes couldn't be any higher at the New York, New Jersey Stadium, MetLife, of course, Stadium in East Rutherford. But this game, of course, is going to be taking place at 8 o'clock. So this will be a night game. I'm looking forward to it, my friend. But again, coming into this match, Norway has their 3 points as they took out Iraq 4-1, as I mentioned before, and then France winning that 3-1 opener, taking on Senegal. So Norway currently commands the top spot because of the goals, okay, in Group I, after resounding 4-1 victory over Iraq in their opening match, led by a formidable 25-year-old super striker. I've talked about this young man. He plays for Manchester City. I'm referring to Erling Haaland. The Norwegians have carried their blistering form from UEFA qualifying, where they went a perfect 8-0 straight into the tournament. Senegal, however, on the other hand, have faced immense pressure after a tough 3-1 opening defeat to France. The Lions, Teranga, find themselves in a de facto must-win scenario. So it's a must-win for Senegal. Another loss would leave their hope of advancing to the round of 32 hanging by a microscopic thread. This This is a very, very tough match to call. I'll say it right off the bat. But, Holland enters the World Cup with an astounding 55 international goal in 50 caps. His presence completely shifts how opponents are forced to defend deep. Norway has been involved in high-scoring affairs, going over the total matches and goals in 5 of their last 7 games. Both teams have scored 7 of their last 8 matches, so showing that while they possess lethal firepower, I should say, they could sometimes give up chances on the counter. That being said, guys, let's look at both teams to score at minus 159 now. But I kind of like over 2.5 goals at minus 120, and that's going to be my lean. My lean here, minus 120 in the Norway-Senegal match. Do not think that Holland is going to be able to score. If you want to look at a player prop, I would look for to score or to assist. And that is something that I would highly, highly recommend doing. But again, it has, just as I'm logging on here, it has gone down to plus 117 for Norway. I'm not saying that Norway's not going to win. It'd be great if they win, and it'd be an amazing matchup between France and Norway going into that third and final match. But I'm going to go with over 2.5 goals at minus 120. I'm going to go a lean on that one. But again, expect Senegal to deploy an aggressive game plan. Sitting back won't serve them well. They need 3 points to regain control of their destiny. I wouldn't steer anybody away from Norway winning. It probably will be a 3-2 win for Norway. But my lean here is going to go over 2.5 total goals at minus 120. I just want to be a little conservative there. I expect an open, thrilling match where both sides find the back of the net, but Holland and company edge out the victory. Let's, of course, go to our final match on Monday, June 22nd. Taking place at 11 o'clock in Santa Clara, California. Jordan taking on Algeria. Group J, winner stays alive for the knockout stage. I will say that. But the stakes could not be any higher in Levi Stadium for this match 2 showdown. Having both dropped their opening matches in Group J, Jordan and Algeria find themselves in a high-pressure situation where anything less than 3 points significantly damages their hopes of reaching the knockout rounds. I think Algeria wins this 2-1, but let me break down Jordan real quick. They need to find the defensive balance. Let's be honest, okay? Jordan made history on match day 1 by scoring their first ever World Cup goal, courtesy of the 50th minute strike by Ali Awan. However, their defensive vulnerabilities were exposed by Austria in a 3-1 defeat, highlighted by a structural lapse and an unfortunate own goal. The manager for Jordan will need a significant more disciplined tactical shape to absorb pressure and feed the star forward on the counter for Jordan. As far as Algeria, Vladimir Petakov's squad was thoroughly outmatched by a clinical Argentinian side in that 3-0 opening defeat. Despite the slow start, the Desert Warriors carry a deep or depth of European base experience and tactical sophistication here that gives them the tactical edge. They will aim to dictate possession early and exploit Jordan's shaky defensive line, which has let in 6 goals over the last 2 competitive fixtures. I do see both teams to score here. So if we look at here, both teams to score, yes, that's going to be my lean here, guys. Both teams to score at minus 108. I think they leave it out there, but that'll be just my lean. So no official play here for this late match, but I do see a 2-1. But expect Algeria to establish control of the midfield early, using the individual quality to unlock Jordan's low block. Jordan will rely heavily on their electric pace to strike onto the transition. While Jordan's fighting spirit can disrupt a sluggish Algerian team, the North African side's superior technical depth and tournament pedigree should carry them through under absolute must-win conditions. I do see Algeria winning. That's 2-1. I wouldn't take that because it's minus 195. That's too much juice there, but I do see both teams scoring here. So I'm going to do that as a lean at minus 108. And that's going to wrap it up for us for this session on Monday. Again, make sure that you give us a follow. You can check out our website, justwinbetsbaby.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You get all of our picks absolutely free for right now. And we're covering, of course, the World Cup in English and in Spanish. So we'll give them both of those fixtures my best bets. And we've been doing pretty well. So again, make sure that you log on to our website, www.justwinbetsbaby.com, for more information. I wish everybody the best of luck on these Monday's fixtures. That's 4 games that we've covered. Good luck to everyone. We'll see you tomorrow morning here on Just Win Footy Bets.